can't have a Back to the Future fan film without a kick-ass DeLorean. And trust me, Future's Back delivers on that 100%.
Back to the Future is a cinematic universe that deserves a proper fan film.
Dude, sign me up. What's that?
Yeah, what is
All right.
it?
Future's Back is an ambitious fan film set in the Back to the Future cinematic universe where
Sign me up. What's that?
Yeah. What is right? Future's Back is an ambitious fan film set in the Back to the Future cinematic universe.
Someone has multiple tabs open. Obviously. We're live on Facebook, everybody.
This is what happens when you're live. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, just real quick, if everybody can have just only one tab open.
This is what happens when you're live.
Okay, just real quick, if everybody can have just only one tab open.
Oh,
All right, I've checked mine. I'm good to go.
Me too, yeah.
One by
It's
one.
definitely Luke.
Testing.
I think it's mine.
All right, I've checked
Oh,
mine.
that's
I'm good to go.
All right,
One by one.
we were getting caught in a time loop there. Well,
Space Continuum.
Anybody?
I love it.
we were getting caught in a time loop there. Please continue.
All right, everybody go through your tabs real quick.
Yeah.
I only have one app open. The
Yeah, me
browser.
too.
Tab one is one.
Well, I know what I'd do if I had a time machine now, at least.
Everyone can see and hear you. Having issues.
All right, the future is back. Is an ambitious fan film. That was craziness right there. That was a great start. But listen, The Future is Back is an ambitious fan film set in the Back to the Future cinematic universe where Trevor, a driver from the past, teams up with a scientist named Becky Brown to save her father, Jules Brown. Love the name there, guys. And of course, they've got their own enhanced DeLorean time machine. What could go wrong? This week, we are going to meet the creative team. Benjamin Lewis, he's the co-creator and lead designer. Jesse Boots, co-creator and director. Michael Chance, co-creator and producer. And Chris Ely, he's the producer, line producer this week. Everybody, welcome to the Con Guy Show. We couldn't be more than happy to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks for having us.
This is one of our Con Guy shirts. We are big fans of the Back to the Future universe. We apologize for that little snafu at the beginning. By the way, I think it was my fault. But
I knew it.
I know it's not anyone. These are all tech guys. They all know how to run stuff, and they're all sitting there thinking these amateurs. Anyways, guys, welcome to the show. My name is Jim. I am one of your hosts. You can find me at James D. Fry. Cheese on the couch. Introduce yourself.
Hey, Jim. How you doing? Cheeseman, Back to the Future super fan, one of the founding members of the Con Guy, also a screenwriter. So I'm also a filmmaker, like some of us. Like all of us here, actually, we're all filmmakers. So excited to talk about Back to the Future and the filmmaking process.
We went.
Cool.
Hello, Lily. It's always good to see you.
Hi,
All right.
Lily.
Do have some folks watching live. Again, we apologize for the snafu. It was all my fault. I'll take the full blame for that. Anyways, we're going to throw it over the team. If you guys can tell us a little bit about yourself, how you guys got together, and what was the impetus for this awesome fan film.
Yeah, I think it kind of all started back with the 30th anniversary. And I think that was like back in 2016 or so. And I was down in like the Cinerama Dome down in LA, and I was watching Back to the Future back to back, the whole trilogy. And I walked out just thinking, like, I don't think I could take any more Back to the Future. And a couple of days later, I got an email from Ben here, our lead designer, and it was just like it had this really cool attachment. It was a Back to the Future car, like a brand new DeLorean, and it floored me. And I was like, guys, we gotta do something. And then I pulled together the whole team here with Jesse, and essentially we kind of had like this amazing team from before. We basically worked on several films in the past: Project Arbiter, Whipping Boy, Limpomorph. You'll kind of see some of them here, but it's kind of it's one of those things when you do like kind of like your own IP and other projects and things, like you got to bring in friends and people you can trust and that you can rely on, because a lot of times you're not working with big budgets and things like that, and you're very passionate about it. But this was kind of like the first one where we're like, are we are we in uncharted territory here? We're working on someone else's IP. Is Bob Gale or Robert Zemeckis or Steven Spielberg going to reach out, through a webcam here and kind of slap us and say, "What are you guys doing?" But we saw
that's the dream. That's what goes viral.
Yeah, and we saw there's a huge fan community and stuff like that. And we watched a lot of the other like fan films and stuff. And I think one of the things that kind of like threw us was everybody's trying to like recreate Doc and Marty, and like those performances I think are like so indelible. It's like it's really hard to kind of outdo Christopher Lloyd and basically
Michael J. Fox.
Who's that guy again?
He's got an awesome documentary coming out here. But essentially, like we just said, we got to do something with this, like this new concept, this new car, all these ideas started like, spitballing and just snowballing, and it was pretty awesome. And I think the only other thing just to kind of note was originally when we saw this, we thought of just doing something really cool, like a concept piece with the car. Like we've all worked in commercials too, but it just like it kind of hit us like this could be a bit more like what actually happened in the last like 30 plus years, 38 years since 1985 when they actually left in that train.
Well,
it's actually you guys, Mike and Jesse. When I show you the car that I've designed, my goal was not to do something big with it. I'm always been a fan of Back to the Future, and I've always dreamt about redesigning the time machine. It's like it's a symbol that the car by itself is just a masterpiece, and I just wanted to redesign it, and I just wanted to do a bunch of images and then do as I do all the time, just put them on internet, and that's it. Show everyone that hey, here's my take on the car.
Yeah.
But then you guys went completely crazy about it and said we got to do something more than this, and that's pretty much how it snowballed and started it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but after Mike got that image from Ben and said, I didn't really know what Ben did like on a day-to-day basis. I knew he was like a car designer. He did car stuff or whatnot. So when Mike showed me this, I forgot to mention this story to them in like an anecdote. I thought the car was actually being made. Like it was like physically going to be built. And I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Like we're just going to roll this car up. Like Ben's like a really big deal. He's like making a new DeLorean, this and that. It wasn't until a couple days later I realized the cars.
It may after this if DeLorean buys it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Well, yeah.
Wait, can somebody walk me through this process then? So you're okay. I looked at all the photos here. I thought there was a new DeLorean coming out. Tell me.
Well, there is.
There is. And believe it or not, Jim, they actually took one of our taglines in their social media posts. We just saw that like about a month ago. They were like, "Hey, the future is back," and all this. And we're like, "Guys, come on!"
Yeah, I saw the ad and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say something. What Ben won't tell you is the inspiration came when he was putting in a new light bulb in his bathroom and he slipped. He hit his head on the toilet. All of a sudden it came, the idea. So
and I drew this.
Yeah, but Ben, when was the first time you drew the car? Like what do you remember how long ago that was?
It was probably back in 2014 when I started to. I mean, I've always wanted to redesign it, and then now that I'm in the car industry, obviously in design, I have the tools and the skill set to do it. And it's probably a bunch of years before the project. So I always wanted to do something about it. And the original one has all these like techie accessories on it. It's a whole bunch of little objects and things that you don't really know what to do, but they're on top of the car and everything is like mashed up on it, which is awesome, when you watch the movie. But then what I wanted to do was to make something a little slicker. So like everything was meant to be there and not something that was, hand built in a garage. I wanted to do something that is meant to be out of a factory. Here is the time machine properly made. And, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fun. It's been fun to work on it.
Take that, Doc.
And also, as kind of a side note too, Ben, you should tell them who you showed the car to early on in the feedback you got. Like, I mean, Sid Mead and Robert Probert, like these are well-known people.
Yeah, I showed it to Robert Probert just because, I've learned something from my past experiences where don't be shy to show, stuff to the big guys and people who matter to the project, even though there's no stupid questions.
Can you wait? You showed it to who?
Robert Probert.
Yeah, he's basically one of the original concept artists for the original DeLorean time machine.
Yeah, Rob.
So right away he reached out to him, and also too, as you guys may or may not know, like one of the biggest like futurists of probably like the last maybe 3 decades of like science fiction films has actually been Sid Mead, who worked on like Blade Runner and a bunch of other projects. And so Ben, you know, was fortunate enough to kind of pass it over to him and get like his blessing on some of the designs and concept too. Because again, when we're doing this, like the DeLorean's so iconic, and it's going to be like one of those key things that everybody sees with the project. We wanted to make sure it was right. But I mean, the initial feeling I got was coming out of just seeing those movies. I was like, I was blown away because it feels kind of, you know, beast-like. It's much more of a performance version of it, right? Mm-hmm. And we all love the original. What we're trying to do with this is not rehash that stuff or kind of do what other fan films in the past have done, which is kind of like tread on the same ground. We really want to do an extension of the Brown family legacy and kind of bring it to modern times, but maybe dip back into some of the original pantheon of some of the characters or other things. Won't say too much about that.
Yeah. Well, so can we talk a little more about like the story and kind of the script process? So like we talked about the car, like you had the whole kind of concept, and originally you were looking at maybe just doing a concept piece, but then you're like, let's make it into a story. So going back to that, like, so you decided to do this. So what was that process on scripting it? Like what ideas did you kind of bring in, or like, oh, we got to do this or that kind of stuff?
I mean, I think Jess can add to this too, but it's like, because Ben was coming from really the design end of it. And again, like, you know, when we work on projects, like I've worked on some other films in the past with some really great artists like Robert Simons on Project Arbiter. And, you know, the artists are so key, you know, like I think a lot of times, like, you know, the producers and the directors, like they always take the forefront, especially like, you know, kind of out in like the public awareness. But like this started with a designer. This started with Ben. And from there, Ben, you know, like we'd have these meetings on Zoom and like we'd keep talking about the characters. Like that's Jesse's forte as well, and coming up with ideation and new like story beats and things. But Ben, like he would sometimes have these nuggets. Like he would say, you know, I think we should call this Future is Back. And
I like that.
You know, it's like,
back
and so
future is back.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many great things that just happened by getting the three of us together on Zoom calls. Because again, Ben's in Detroit. Jesse and I are up here in the Bay Area in like San Jose, San Francisco area. So we just kept getting together, and it's one of those things. Ideation. It's just what feels good and what sticks. We just keep going to it.
Well, to follow up on Luke's question there, you said that Jesse had some ideas on characters. Jesse, can you take it? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, there wasn't a lot of meat to it. You know what I mean? Like, I think the ambition wasn't there in terms of like from a story perspective and the characters. Like, it was like a 60-second, you know, like we were trying to make something just sleek and as a tease. That was almost kind of being like a fake commercial for the car. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we are making a new DeLorean and we're going to pitch that and obviously put a little bit of Easter eggs with Back to the Future. But I think what we quickly realized is like our love for the movie of Back to the Future. We're like, as storytellers, all of us, we're like, well, we could expand this. And if there's anything that Mike's really good at is it's pushing us to like, let's see where we can take this thing. So a quick, 60-second outline treatment quickly became, a 4-minute, script. And then that ballooned up to a 10-minute script. And then, as things
and now it's an hour, right, Jesse?
Now it's an hour. It's not an hour.
But you have two main characters. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah. So what we essentially kind of settled on was like, okay, we're not going to pick up like kind of Mike alluded to with Marty and Doc. And then, we had this great idea. And I think this was driven a lot by Ben. He had this Jules Brown Industries. And we're like, okay. So what if Doc Brown's kids, and one of them, in this case, Jules, kind of like had this kind of like corporation, this thing, and like kind of made it a little bit bigger. But we didn't want to focus on him either. So we skipped a generation and we're like, okay, he has a daughter. She's going to kind of be our kind of like, stand in proxy for the Doc role, Becky. And then Mike kind of was like pushing, like, well, what if we took a character, from the past and brought him into the present? We needed a new protagonist. We didn't want to, again, just go down the same kind of path with what Marty was. And that's how we landed on Trevor. And so Trevor is this character pulled from the past into the present. And him and Becky kind of have this friendship that you could, maybe guess could be somewhat romantic in nature, but it's really just kind of a platonic in nature. And they're kind of the Marty and Doc, but more of on a peer side of things. And then from there, we just kind of, kept pushing. And Jules was kind of pushed into the background to be kind of more of like a mysterious character, because we wanted to focus kind of on this generation. So yeah, Dio, plays Trevor, and Joni plays Becky. Those are our two main. They're kind of thrown into this adventure unwittingly when something happens with Jules, and they kind of launch off and have to discover and solve these things. So that's kind of that's how we came to kind of finding those two characters.
All right.
Trevor has no tie to anybody in
No.
Back to the Future,
No,
unless
no.
his last name's Wilson, because the Mayor Goldie Wilson.
No,
Nope.
yeah, and he's got a really unique kind of backstory. We built out all the backstories together, and he specifically you don't get too much into it in like the in the short film, but since we're doing this great interview, it's nice to kind of give a few extra tidbits. But there's a lot there about him that kind of like goes back to like actually the 60s. We kind of wanted to, since the original trilogy was jumping back to like the 50s so much as kind of like the foundation, we wanted to again kind of get into a bit of a continuation of that era. What's the next step after that? So maybe if this thing ever lived on after this first kind of short, it'd be fun to kind of see like, okay, well, what's going on with the original characters in the 60s, right? And so there's kind of like this retread area there, but still like we're telling our own story with these new characters that are a part of the lineage.
Let me just take a break real quick just to say hello, Nathan. What's up, the con guy? Good to see you. Corey Adele. She just wants to know, where'd you guys come up with the idea for this little fan film?
Yeah, it all started with seeing a piece of concept art from Ben here, our lead designer. So just from that alone, and again, it was around like the 30th anniversary. We just got super excited. And we're like, we got to do something with this.
And when Cameron Thompson said he can't wait to see the finished product, which leads me into
same with us.
Hey, same with us.
Yeah. Wait. Let's talk about that a little, because you do have the road to 88. Let's go ahead and mention that. Like, you do have a Kickstarter going. We put the little Kickstarter down there.
Yep.
And
that's nifty.
And so the principal photography on the film is complete, and we're going to go through a little bit of the production about that in a minute here. But you're just kind of looking for, is it finishing funds, special effects? What?
Yeah, for the most part, just trying to raise with our main goal 30K. So we've done a lot of projects in the past. We'll probably, Jimmy Luke will probably share some of that with you in just a moment here. But we usually bring on like a full visual effects team. With this one, we're just trying to bring on kind of a small group. And so with 30K, we can get very, very high quality visual effects completed for this 10-minute short. But the road to 88 is our entire Kickstarter campaign. So we have stretch goals that will allow us to essentially like increase the quality and the fidelity of the imagery. Like, we've done a lot of super, high end, sci-fi films in the past, and like quality is really key for us. Like, we won't release it until it looks perfect. And so for this one, we're trying to raise up to 88. That'll get us an additional 30K for an entire visual effects studio. Jesse has wonderful connections in visual effects up here in the Bay. We've worked with them in the past, and again, if we can raise enough, you might be thinking, what is 60K worth of visual effects going to get in a 10-minute short film? Well, go look at Project Arbiter, and you'll see what even less than that gets you. So it's like, it's pretty ambitious. We're trying to make this look completely photoreal. So.
I think the thing is too, is like Ben's level of concept art and design already kind of reaches a really high quality. And so by having that out in the world now as like a point of context, we don't want to deliver on anything that's, less than that. From a still perspective, he has mapped this car out in environments and angles, and with all the details. And I think it would be a shame if we weren't able to at least match kind of the quality of his images and of his design, but in a moving, medium. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, the goal is to pay the fan film pays its proper tribute to the trilogy. We're fans and we like things well done. And I think we need to get to a level where we are really proud of what we've done. And, we need that fan film to pay a proper tribute to, like, actually, at least visually and in the quality of it, to be really, really nice and polished, for sure.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, Jim and Luke, like, with our team, and especially with Chris too, and what we were able to do on site with our production, like with a very small group of talented people, like we're really pushing what we can do budget wise, but we're getting like really high quality stuff, great actors, great crew. Again, we're trying to squeeze everything we can out of it from all the previous films we've worked on, like in like the past decade of independent shorts. So it's kind of culminated to this one. We're like, I think we're ready to actually touch somebody else's, intellectual property, and something as sacred as Back to the Future, for all of us, because it's kind of hollowed ground for us. We really love it.
Oh, it is. It is. Like I have this.
I know. Yeah, we got to see you guys fan out a little bit.
Let me see. Let's go. So layout right here. This is a cool piece of artwork that I bought.
It's the Libyans.
Yes, it is. It is. It's so cool for people who know what this is. It's such a beautiful piece of art. I love the yellow. I love the yellow in the background there.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Luke, what you got?
Oh, as far as things I've collected, so many things. I mean, obviously I have this print behind me, but where's the photo? So this is just one little shelf of some of the things I have. Obviously some of the Super 7 figures. I do have
that hoverboard. That's
hey, Luke, who signed that? I see you got a couple things signed over there.
Yeah, so I have Bob Gale sign some of the stuff
cool.
I've had, and then part of Griff's gang, I had two of the actors from that, not Jason Scott Lee, but the two others signed the
Casey Size Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, he's great. I love him. Was it 10 O'Clock High or something? Yeah, that's good.
And then Michael J. Fox, the Back to the Future 2, my cousin bought that to me. That is signed by Michael J. Fox. And then, of course, I collected some of the Funko and then the Hallmark things. And then I have a bunch of the NECA not shown here, and a bunch of the Super 7 stuff that's come out that's looked really cool, which has that kind of like vintage looking toy thing, like had it existed in that time period, like what they would have looked like. So
very cool.
Whole lot of things. And then obviously,
and Michael, we were I don't know if it was the same time you went, but what was the date? We were there at the Cinerama Dome for Back to the Future 2. What was the date?
God, what was it? I think it was like back in, because like we were doing concept art and storyboards back in 2016. So this must have been 2014, 2015, something like that.
What's the date from the movie?
Yeah, it was the anniversary of when they went Back to the Future in 2015.
2015, that's what it was.
Yeah.
October 21st, 2015.
I don't think there were that many showings of it either.
Day.
No, it was pretty cool. Yeah,
you guys might have been there together.
I know you might have been there at the same time. Hey, but can
cool.
you just mentioned when you were doing like your production art and stuff? We're gonna show some slides here, kind of like pre-production of you guys getting the film together, and you said you use some pretty talented artists to get your storyboards together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, an artist that works at Disney and does a lot of freelance stuff, and essentially brought him on. And early on, like there's a whole sequence, like everything you see in the teaser, and Jesse and Ben and Chris can kind of speak to this too, like everything in the teaser you see is from what we actually filmed, and it's kind of, I would say, like the first third to almost half of the short. And then basically once this kind of time travel moment occurs, time travel in a way you haven't really seen before, which is pretty exciting. You're basically going to a different place. We don't want to reveal too much of that yet because we want it to be a surprise, but that whole sequence of where Trevor goes and what happens there in the search for Jules and what actually occurs, kind of following that, is all storyboarded to a pretty high degree. So we know every shot. We've done an animatic.
Yeah, so we cut it all. You know what I mean? Put music to it, sound effects, and yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about principal photography. You guys, production was the majority was in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, we did the whole thing there.
Oh,
yeah,
walk us through what we're seeing here.
Yeah, Chris can kind of give you a little bit of a background on the location and kind of like the days of production. Chris, you want to jump into a little bit of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I came on as a line producer a little bit later in the game, but Mike and Jesse can probably talk. They're the ones that location scouted and found the locations, and so we actually shot this at the San Diego Wind Tunnel, where they do aerodynamics and testing on just about everything. I think we saw in there, from cars to bikes to everything.
Yeah.
So you can see the turbines in there that blow the air through there, and they have all these testing of how they test aerodynamics with things. And I think Mike and Jesse can speak to this, but they just fell in love with the look of it. It just looked like something different that we haven't seen before, and just something unique that give us that production value. And I'll say this is like, me as a line producer, I do a lot of commercial and documentary work as well as scripted work as well. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to say it, but I mean, we shot this. We stretched money about as far as we could go. And, you know, it was the three of these guys below that dipped into their own personal funds to make it happen. And I think we shot 2 days, and I could tell you this, I think we did it for $20,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were running like a high-end Alexa camera, so we didn't pull any punches about the quality, because, you know, I think that's one of the reasons Mike wanted me to come on here. He's like, we need to get quality out of it.
And also too, I mean, we trusted Chris for a while. We worked on a project called Whipping Boy in the past, which is kind of like Fight Club meets Blade Runner, and Chris was great on that, and we've been friends in that going on like 10 years, and, you know, again, people you trust. And so when we started to like find this location, we really wanted to essentially like find something that could live up to the pantheon of what you've seen in the past for other Back to the Future films. We needed something visual, distinct, you know,
legit, you know,
iconic, right away. And I think the other thing too, you know, Ben,
we were going to use Mike's garage, but unfortunately rain like busted through the roof, so we're like, oh, what are we going to do? Let's go to San Diego. Let's find a tunnel, you know.
Yeah, we were trying to get some really cool locations too, like there's an amazing like university library that looks super futuristic. I mean,
UCSD.
Yeah, and quite a few, I think, Jess, you might recall, like quite a few of our location scouts in San Diego, like we wanted to get Ben out there, but he was in Detroit. But again, some of the spots we went to informed what the story would be as well. And I think you see that a lot in independent filmmaking. You have to be very flexible and go with your instincts. So when you're, you know, getting on set or you're finding a new location, you got to just like build it into the story as well. It's kind of these happy little accidents. And we found this wind tunnel, and we started talking about, I think, Ben, you know, maybe you could chat about like the idea of like putting the car on like a dyno and like, you know, almost like performance stuff. It makes sense like in a practical sense of how they would test the car, but also how it time travels.
Yeah, exactly. Potentially, well, first to finish up on San Diego, you know, the location had to be legit. And when we saw, you know, the first images of the wind tunnel, like that teal corridor, like hallway, is really what sold me like right away, you know, because, you know, as a designer, I look like textures and lighting and architecture and the dynamics of it. And I thought, you know, this is going to be awesome. If we can do there, you know, like film there, it would be awesome. And yeah, Mike, like the idea of putting the car in that wind tunnel, you know, like this environment that tells us, you know, there's a lot of engineering going on, there's a lot of developments, aerodynamics, and the fact that maybe the car can time travel in a different way, you know, could bring a twist that is, you know, not seen up to today. So we really like the fact that, you know, that's the difference we can make, you know.
And I think we wanted to also reflect that's like when you look at the originals and kind of Doc Brown, like kind of working, you know, out of his own little place. He didn't have like a facility. He didn't have a place to go to. But because like, you know, this idea of Jules Brown Industries, like he may have a little bit, you know, more behind him to kind of test and kind of evolve, you know, the technology and what it is. And so we didn't want to just choose it because it looked cool. It was also, I think, in service of the story, you know what I mean? And of at least the backstory and of the world building that we were going for, you know? So
the legacy of the dad, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we saw the teaser and everything, and I noticed that there are some, like, it does feel almost like you even give a little bit of like the Easter egg with the sunglasses, the homage with that. Even the fact he's got that kind of swagger to him too, which Marty, you know, he's the cool guy in the room and all that. So I feel like that person, he's got that kind of personality, kind of almost paying homage to like Michael J. Fox, and even kind of the musician kind of musical thing, like how he has like the drumsticks and all that feels a little bit like Marty at the beginning, you know, with the guitar and all that. So Is there anything much you can tell us, Easter egg or little kind of nuggets? I know a lot of it will be surprise stuff that, you know, you haven't talked about or that's storyboarded for like later in the thing, but what can you tell us?
They're
I mean,
all over the place.
you hit a lot right there on the head. I mean,
I'm glad you picked all that up, Luke.
yeah, the
That's
music
pretty
thing was
spot on.
definitely key. It was definitely an important, you know, quality of like, okay, we don't want to just be completely derivative of, you know, Back to the Future Michael J. Fox, but there was these little things that we could infuse in the character to kind of like spiritually link them, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
And Jess, didn't it also start with like the original Back to the Future promo, like trailer? Like, I don't think a lot of people know about this, but I think, you know, if you're diehard, you got to go check it out. There's an original trailer of Marty McFly getting out of the DeLorean, and it's footage that's not used, you know, actually in the films. It's just him with those shades, and it has a very specific look, and he's out on the road. Yeah, you should go check it out. It's fun. So, but I like what Luke was saying. I almost kind of feel like, guys, like if we're fortunate enough to make this one and finish it, we should probably have you know, Trevor and Marty get together and have a jam session.
Yeah.
In the 60s, of course.
White Stripe style drummer and guitar. Yep.
That'd be cool.
So tell us a little bit like you guys as a team. Like you've done projects together. What brought you guys together?
Oh, guy. I think, well, it goes back to
desperation.
I was doing this stuff back in high school. I'm turning 40 in a week and a half, but
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
But Jesse and I, like early on, like in junior college, became like really good friends. We knew each other in middle school, and you know, he went on the visual effects end of things and came into directing, and I started like more in editing. And you know, and I think Jesse, you were doing editing too at the time, but we started to make, you know, just projects together coming out of college. And for anybody out there, like, you don't have to go to a big school. You can. I mean, you'll make great networking contacts, but you know, we just kind of did the JC thing, and there came a moment where we're like, gee,
and guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah. But do we put our money into a university and go do a thesis project, like, you know, transfer from a JC, or do we go make this crazy movie called Project Arbiter? And we worked on that movie for about 5 years, you know, and we'd really tried. That's about a 20-minute short film. That's long for a short film, especially so visual effects heavy. But Jesse led the charge on the visual effects end. I helped write and basically direct it, and we finished that, and we, you know, released it in Comic-Con in 2014, and it was great. And we've got like, I think, close to 3.5 million views on it, and it was such a learning experience. I learned more in that than anything in school.
Yeah.
So because of that, you know, we had another competition film. We got $20,000 from New Regency, and with my management at the time, Stories, you know, International, great people over there. They basically connected me with this competition called Prototype, and they gave, like, I think it was like 7 or 10 filmmakers $20K each to come up with new IPs. And so we brought in Ia Samba, a great writer. He works on The Blacklist in LA right now. Shout out to Ia. So we worked on that one. And that one we brought Ben in and Chris on. And that was like the first time the four of us all collaborated together. And Ben, actually, if you pull up that slide for Whipping Boy, he did the mechanical heart and all that stuff in there.
Ooh. Yeah. I'll find that.
Well, yeah, because actually Project Arbiter was what tied me to you, because I sent you a Facebook message. I remember like it was this. Yeah. You know, I sent a message to Mike and say, hey, I loved what you did on the film. Because I like sci-fi. I'm a car designer every day. I design car interiors for production, but I'm a diehard of sci-fi and movies and entertainment industries. So I messaged you and I said, hey, I love what you did on Project Arbiter. And just, you know, I like what you did. And he responded back and said, hey, you know, if you want to do something cool and jump into like entertainment design, maybe we can do together something. And then, you know, that's where I designed the heart for sure.
Yeah. And then Chris, like, we've been buddies for like 10 years. And it was the first time I went on a date with a man. And
since he loved it,
which is always a great way to start a story. But
did he pay for you, Chris? Did he pay for you?
I'm curious about this
gentleman.
Did
he open the door?
But I was working with a cool motion graphics artist, Gus Feldstrom, when we were doing corporate work and you know, day job stuff. And you know, he had a friend, Chris, who was looking to get into like the film industry and, you know, produce. And I was living in LA at the time. And he's like, you know, do you know anybody that would be interested in kind of working on projects? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll connect you with Mike. And so we went and got, you know, lunch, and it was like, we just became fast friends. Like, I don't think I've ever been, you know, connected with somebody.
It was a good date.
Yeah, it was
Friends
good.
at first sight.
We had many more dates.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
moment on, yeah, we kind of all came together and
Well,
started
I was,
working on this thing.
yeah, I was just gonna say I was actually at the time. We're like me, myself. That's two people, just one actually. But me, Mike, and Jesse, we're all from the Bay Area originally, and so I was in LA at the time because I was in the Bay Area. I was actually playing in a band, and my bassist worked with Mike, and so when he was the one, Gus was the one that was like encouraging me to get in the film industry. For you know, those are conversations aside. So when I was in LA, I was like, Gus, do you know anybody out here? He's like, yeah, you got to meet Mike. And so we met at this little cafe. What was it? Aroma Cafe in Studio City.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so, we hung out there.
Yeah, there's like, again, like everybody, I don't know, like you meet a lot of people, Bay Area, LA, Detroit. Like the thing that's so cool is that with technology now, which kind of goes into the aesthetic or kind of like subtext of this story and all the technology that's in it. But, you know, compared to like the 1980s when these movies originally took place, like there's so much more technology. Like we're streaming stuff now. I work on Zoom every day with clients. Like, you know, like you got offline editing, you can film with an Alexa camera and you're an independent production. Like there's no reason why you can't make these projects. So now I think the only way you can stand out and essentially connect yourself with like quality is to do just that. Like spend time on the story, make actual characters, believe people are actually going to get excited about the richness of the short. And so that it's like so good. It's like one of those Sour Patch Kid candies. You put it in, it's just like, it makes you pucker right away. It's like, oh, I need another one. I'm going to go back and watch it again. Like we want that for our shorts. We don't want someone just to watch it and go, nah, that was digestible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I want to show something here quick, and then I know Luke has a question. You mentioned Project Arbiter. We have some images here.
Yeah.
It kind of shows off a little. You guys pulled together the special effects for this.
Yeah. So hold on, real quick though. You see the truck down there?
Yeah.
The villa, and you see how there's like 3 German soldiers, and the furthest one to the right is waving to you.
Yeah.
That's Jesse. Right there. so everybody on independent projects, everybody's an actor, everybody's doing crew.
Spielberg style. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Fablemans.
Yep.
So talking about characters and act like pre-show, we were talking about the casting process and all that. I was can you tell the audience a little more about that? You had these 2 main characters that you casted and stuff. Can you tell us how you got, you know, them and then the casting process and how that all worked?
Jess, do you want to kind of dive into some of that?
Yeah, I mean, you can speak a little bit more to Dio, I think. So why don't you start with Dio, and then I'll get into Becky.
Yeah, I mean, Dio and I collaborated on a few projects in the past, and we were even like developing some stuff. And he's just been a really good friend through a mutual friend, Tracy Hayes, great director down in LA. So for the most part, we've worked on independent projects way back, right before he even kind of, you know, broke big and got cast as Thresh in the Hunger Games, the original film. So that was like his kind of like call to action into the whole industry. And so I knew him, you know, just slightly before that. And he's never changed. He's an amazing man. He does great stuff. He pulls people together. He's like, I see him being an Uber producer beyond just being a great actor still. So it's one of those things where it's like you want to just be around him as well. He's a great guy. But we've always been trying to find a project where we could have synergy on it and he could be the lead. And we were basically writing this and we're like, you know, this is perfect for Dio. Like he already is Trevor. And, you know, we'd love to see something kind of from him. He plays, at the time he was playing some more kind of like, dramatic roles and things like this. And we just wanted to do something where it was a bit more fun, but he could kind of have like a little bit of a wink to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nothing better than Back to the Future to play in that sandbox. So we didn't necessarily do any auditions. We already knew he was great for it. So he was the first one we brought on.
Cool.
Definitely the complete opposite of the other process. You know, it's like you have one hand, you have this person where it's like you instantly know that you want him and you hope you can get him. And thankfully we were able to. Becky was tricky. You know, we didn't have anyone kind of in our wheelhouse or in our, you know, eyesight that we were like, that's who Becky is. And so we went through 3 rounds of casting in LA. You know, I think in the first round we saw 40, maybe 50, you know, different actresses for the role, you know, coming in with lab coats. I mean, all kinds of things. And then, you know, from there, we just kept going and whittling down. And it came down to these 2 women. And something just sat with me for Becky. You know, there was a quirkiness, there was a funkiness, a cuteness, you know, to her, to Joni. And, you know, she definitely earned it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we saw her right away. And obviously we liked her and we wanted to continue, but it took some time to land on her. And so glad we did, because she brings a fun, you know, erratic kind of docky, you know, new energy. You know, of the Brown family to the character.
She told us too, and I think we got an interview clip of this too that we could put on social. But she's like, you know, she basically said like to her agent, she's like, I got to do this. Like I am Becky.
Yeah.
So,
We were very fortunate, you know, with the cast.
Yeah.
Like cast makes or breaks, especially with short films. You know what I mean? You usually don't have access, you know. To the people, whether through funds or, you know, connections through, you know, all the various channels you could.
Well, we are kind of I mean, we've been look at there 40 almost 45 minutes we've been chatting. Wow. This has been great. Now listen, we got a couple of comments if you guys don't mind. I mean, just April Robinson, good stuff. Consider me a new super fan. Excited about this project.
Hey, thank you, April.
Thank you. Then this next question, if we you can send it to me. We'll post it afterwards. Could you post the links to the past shorts and works you all have on the web? So, from Win, he'd like to see that. And then Win, he was asking, will it be a short or full length? And this one is a short.
Well, it depends on if we reach the stretch goals. 188 million. And if we do, we can make our Avatar version of it, you know.
But I think short film, like, yes, in terms of like if you're going to compare it to short versus feature length, we'd call it a short film. But I think it's even better to think of it more of like in an episodic form. You know, like there's obviously more story, there's more meat that, you know, we could get into. But I think right now we're just focused on this one. You know, want this to be successful, want to kind of serve something up that can, you know, people watch and enjoy. And so yes, it's a short film, but it's not necessarily, you know, the complete story. There's other things that we could, in other places we could go, you know.
Luke, do you have any other questions, Luke, before we kind of
well, real quick before I move on to a question, I just my notice kind of with Becky too, because we're talking about, you know, she's part of the Doc Brown bloodline, but I also get a little bit of Clara a little bit with her, with kind of her look or feel, like, because she was very quirky, and even with the little kind of like the curly hair and all that, I can also see how she'd be related to Clara and stuff. So I liked that as well, and like the casting.
I think Luke is going to write a whole film critique on this short one.
From what little I've seen as
the subtext of Future is bad.
Intentional or not, but
intentional, obviously,
all of it. But back to kind of the Kickstarter, there was a mention of like music and score, and, you know, like the Back to the Future theme is so iconic and stuff. Like, what can you tell us about the Kickstarter and what you're trying to maybe do with the music and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to give too much away because we want there to be some surprises, and like so much of like score is like half the picture. Like the soundscape is quite a bit, and of course there's the sound design, the orchestral score. What essentially we can do a score currently, but what we're trying to do with our stretch goals to get up to 88K is essentially use about, I believe we've got it listed as like about 12K just reserved for orchestral score. So we've talked with a few folks, and Chris knows some folks too, where we could actually record actual players, right? Violins, things like that. And there's techniques where you can loop those over each other. We don't necessarily have to have a full orchestra. That'd be great if anybody wants to sponsor us out there, or give us some time at the Universal lot. We'd be happy to go. But for the most part, what we're looking to do is bring the fidelity and the quality of the score up, so you really feel those big moments, because like there's some pretty epic driving sequence stuff at the end of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've seen the film actually played along with like a live orchestra, and music's such a big component of that. And then just one more question about the Kickstarter. Like a lot of times with Kickstarters, there's perks or different things you get for donating or certain levels. Are there certain perks with this Kickstarter that you're doing?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean,
Jesse knows him. Jesse knows him well. He created some pretty fun titles, I gotta say.
yeah, I mean, we got things all the way from obviously, a digital thank you to T-shirts. We got keychains. We got props. That'll be signed by the talent, like the drumsticks, for example.
Nice.
Obviously, is a very kind of significant piece.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah, we got posters. Like Ben has such a library of just amazing imagery and angles from these cars. So not only will we have like an official traditional movie poster, but we'll have like high-end prints, that people will be able to choose from, a set of 3 to 6 or something like that. And so we got sticker sets, we got pin sets, yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of swag.
A couple of them too. Like we also, at certain levels, like there's becoming like an executive producer. We got one that's 10K if you want to be an EP and have your production company be a part of it. So that's kind of cool. Like in the past, we've even had like co-signed visual effects studios come on and help us on things, and they get their logo on it. So that kind of stuff's open. But we'll even do like a couple calls as well. So for certain tiers, we'll actually have conversations with other people, and if they're filmmakers, they might find it valuable too.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to cut over. We have a special message as we close up. But before we do, let's ask a real fun question. If you guys had your own DeLorean, where would you go? If your own DeLorean time machine, where is it you'd want to go? Luke was asking this before we started.
Oh, Chris already's got plenty of answers for this. Let's go with Chris first.
Chris.
You put me on the spot there, buddy.
Chris.
This was from their first mandate. You don't remember what you said on your first
can't do
mandate?
that.
with them?
You
This
can't
is the
do
question
that.
he asked.
I can go if you want.
Yeah, go for it, Ben. You go for it, Ben.
I mean, I would go in '69 when we walked on the moon.
Oh, that's a good one.
Where?
Where?
Oh, when they flew to the moon.
Yeah, when we walked
Yeah.
on the moon. Yeah.
Nice.
I would probably go back to maybe roughly when we think the pyramids were made, because everybody thinks there's some crazy cool conspiracies around that. But I gotta say, like even like the time of like Jesus or something, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But see if he's a DeLorean fan.
Actually, is what Claudia Wells said, the actress that played Jennifer. Like I was at a panel with her, and she was asked the same question, and she said she'd go back to the time of Christ. Yeah.
I mean, I just want to go back and kind of do like some trips to like Wadi Rum and Jordan and see Petra and stuff. So that's something I got on my bucket list. But I just want to give a quick aside. There's a great sci-fi series out there called Devs. Jesse, what's the name of the director? I forgot his name. He's done some cool stuff.
Alex Garland.
He's amazing. He does a lot of hard science stuff.
Yeah.
He created in that series basically time travel through a screen. So if you haven't checked it out, and it's also filmed in the Bay Area, so we know a lot of locations, check that out, Devs. It's amazing. And there's a scene where he kind of goes back.
And we're not getting paid for that.
No. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Go check it out. But Jesse, what would you do?
I mean, I think honestly, I'm going to go against the room here. I'm going into the future. Like I want to see 2100, 2150. I want to know where we're going.
That's cool.
Or not if it's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to have fun driving around in that.
Yeah.
That could be a new episode. We got to put some Walking Dead grill on the front of this thing.
Yeah.
Wait, did Chris say where he'd go?
No, not yet. Where you get to go?
You've had time now.
Yeah, I think
Waffle
I'm going to
House.
go more Marty on this one. I think I would kind of go back a little bit and see family, like my grandparents when they were younger. I think that'd be kind of cool. And my parents, my grandparents, and like kind of how that shaped me and what their lives were really like at that time. I think that'd be interesting. I think Jesus would be interesting too, but thanks, Mike. Yeah, Mike took like 3. Thanks.
What
Mike.
Chris is saying is he wants to be his grandpa's wingman, just like Marty was.
Oh, that'd be the weirdest. Yeah,
you're going all
grandmother.
this person. Yeah.
But I think we can all agree, like the original trilogy and what they did with it, like it's still timeless. Like you watch it, like at any time, like when it pops on, you got to watch it. It's too good.
All right, I want to say hello real quick. Andy, it's always good to see you. Just got off work, tuning in just now. So if you guys could, we're gonna close with a special message from Dale, and just we're gonna start with Chris. Just kind of tell us where folks can find out more information about you, the project you're working on, and how they can get involved.
As far as getting on here, yeah, I mean, we got the Kickstarter going. I think that just went up there. You can find all the information through there, and obviously we're trying to raise money to get the VFX going so we can finish this off and make something great and share it with everybody. And so that's the best place to do it. I think on my little handle is my Instagram on there, and I think we're all sharing Instagram handles, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So so that's where you find us on Instagram and all those. And I think, help support us, because we would like to do this and see where it goes and then make something new, make something after this. So
yeah, get involved. It's going to be a cool thing. What about, and Ben?
I mean, we just need people to share the love. We have a website up where you can find all the information about the film, obviously the Kickstarter as well. But we've put together a pretty cool website where you can have every question you have. You can, have answers there. We have, you can meet the crew and have everything about the project for sure. But I would say between the websites, the Kickstarter, and our Instagram, you're pretty set for sure. Yeah.
All right, Jesse and Michael, any closing thoughts before we throw it over to Dale?
Yeah, I'm going to be having a little tent at the farmers market for Futures Back this coming weekend. So if you want to find out any information, if you're in Campbell, San Jose, want to fly it from LA.
Jesse's serious all the time, as you can tell.
I'll have some business cards and some swag. That's where you can find out the best information, I think, personally, and we can get some fruit. So that's
Jesse will be giving out Pepsi free as well.
Yeah, free soda for everybody.
I was gonna say Jesse's gonna have a table and he's gonna tell people's future as well. So
yeah.
Can you read my palm? All right, Michael, bring us home, man.
Yeah. I think just thanks for your time and interest in this. Like, I know you probably see quite a few projects out there. This one's quite unique to us. Again, this has been, if you really think about it, and we talk about time, this has been kind of over a decade in the making. For us, like, we've learned a lot on all the various other productions that we've done, and we've kind of pulled it all together into this and tried to squeeze out as much as we can. So you're going to see something of great quality, great performances. It's going to be fun. It's going to be the same Back to the Future tone and love. But at the same time, it's going to be an extension of where it's gone in the last 30 years. And I think the ideas themselves and the characters are what are really going to grip you, and you'll want to watch it several times. So big goals for us. I think we're really going to hit them, but we need your help, and it's not something we can do on our own. Right now, our Kickstarter's only been up for about a day and a half, and we've already gotten almost close to $3,500 out of our $30K main goal. So again, like, the people are already giving us love. Really appreciate it, and thank you for your support if that's you. And again, share as much as you can, and just excited to see where this goes. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right. On behalf of the Con Guys, you can find me at James D. Fry. We will be posting. I'll make sure. I'm really good friends with Chris. We'll make sure that we get links to the past stuff you guys have done, and we'll put it up when we post the video as well. And for those of you who've been watching, I thank you so much. Cheeseman, where can people find you before we throw it over?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cheese on Couch, and always theconguy.com. And guys, if you donate $1 million, they'll probably make you the car.
They'll let you take it for a drive at least.
Ben, how much would that be? Probably at least 10 mil, right?
Yeah.
About this, yeah.
Well, no, it's going to be 1/16 scale.
Yeah, 1/16 exactly.
All right, this has been a pleasure, and for closing comments, we're going to throw it over to Dio. All right, bye guys.
So please support us and please help us make our film. I've been the biggest fan of the Back to the Future franchise, the Back to the Future movies, and we're just fans, and we just want to do something interesting and do something creative and give our little spin on this amazing project. And we would love your support. We would love you to help us make that dream a reality. Thank you.